hello. I'm just hanging out with my new friend, Ozeki Takakeisho. And this episode is all about his Yokozuna run, his developing technique, and what's going to happen in the next basho. So thrill!
Roll the salt, get in the ring. Welcome to the Dohyo.
Ooh, gotten a good squat on that one. Hello and welcome back to another brilliant episode of the Dohyo. This time we're going to be focusing on Takakeisho, the youngest Ozeki, the 2 Yusho winner who could be our next Yokozuna. So we're going to talk a little bit about his history, his career to this point in Makuuchi, and what reasonable expectations might be for him going forward. But first, some sumo shoutouts. We have a contest winner for the Name the Viewer Mail segment. So viewer Silver Sin, I reached out to via comment, but now I'm reaching out to you through Sumo Shoutout. You have won the contest. The segment will be called Hagaki Yoi, which I believe means postcard with vigor. So as you can see, Silver Sin, you have been shouted out. You will receive the JWAG song of your choice, and you will get to pick the flannel on a future episode. So hit me up at the email mrjwagschannel@gmail.com, and you will get everything that you deserve. Purely like in a contest way. Alright, let's get down to business and talk about some Takakeisho.
He will fling you out the ring, though he can't chase you very far. He's a cross between a bowling ball and neutron star. He's Takakeisho.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Takakeisho's history and really how his history has just pushed him towards this moment his entire life. First of all, he was named after a Yokozuna, partially. His name is Takanobu Sato, or in the Japanese it's reversed Sato Takanobu. But he's partially named after Takanohana, the great Dai Yokozuna. He started organized sumo in 3rd grade. And then when he was old enough for high school, he ended up moving across Japan so he could attend the most prestigious sumo high school in Japan, Saitama Sakai. And if you notice that there are a lot of guys who have the same keshamawashi, that sort of orange one with the big fancy guitar pick on it, that's because they are alums of the Saitama High School. And while there, he managed to lock up 10 national championships, and then during his senior year, he had his Maizumo seeding tournament, dropped out of high school, and then won 2 consecutive Yusho in the bottom 2 divisions. He has won a Yusho in every single division except Sandanme, and I think we can forgive him because he's only spent 1 basho there. He then made it up to Juryo, where he was the first and I believe only teenager to win his first 8 straight Juryo matches. First teenager to ever do that. He then made it up to the Makuuchi division, where he was the 9th youngest Ozeki in history at 22 years and 7 months. And he was the 6th fastest to the rank of Ozeki, talking just in terms of basho. He did it in 28 tournaments. And to get down to the things that count, the rings, or the belts, or the cups, Takakeisho has 2 of them, and he has 4 runner-ups. That's the exact same record as the other 2 Ozeki combined right now. And of all 3 Ozeki, he's the youngest by 2 to 4 years, depending on the Ozeki you're talking about. So, looking at all that, why isn't Takakeisho the clear choice to be our next Yokozuna? Well, you look at him. Elite athletes don't tend to come in this body. Now, I had mentioned a little bit on the last episode, but I have started to notice there is a bit of Takakeisho hate among the online sumo community. He has very ugly, brutal sumo. He's a very one-dimensional rikishi. He might die because he can't breathe, and I'm worried about his health. Well, okay, a lot of those are very, very valid concerns and criticisms, but I think he's doing the best with the body he has been given. I am sure Takakeisho would love to look like Chiyonafuji or like Hakuho, these like tall, just chiseled men of large carriage and long arms and limbs. He's not that. He's a tiny little fire plug. He's my fire hydrant of love, and I love him for that. He has short, tiny limbs, and he has to do the brand of sumo that works for the package he was given. So yes, I think in a lot of ways he is limited by his body. I like to look on the bright side of Takakeisho's body in that I think there are advantages to Takakeisho's body that no other sumo wrestler has. First of all, whenever he comes in at a tachi or whenever he's coming in for some chest-to-chest sumo, he's going to be coming upward because his center, or at least parallel, because his center of gravity is pretty much the lowest in the top division. Definitely he's the shortest of anyone approaching 400 pounds. So, for his brand of sumo, short, brutal strokes of his sumo, this seems to work very, very well. And, as I've mentioned before, guys like Terano Fuji, they are at much greater risk for joint injuries because their limbs are so much longer. It's just physics. The joints of shorter levers have less stress than the joints of longer levers. So, does this mean his joints might be able to last a little bit longer? If his frame can carry this weight long term, I don't see why not. Is he horribly out of breath after every match and sometimes just after collecting Kensho envelopes? Yes, but I think number one, we're underestimating how incredibly physical it is to be a pusher thruster. You use a lot more energy just sort of giving your energy to the other person as opposed to a Mawashi wrestler who can control things a little bit better and use their strength in a slightly more, say, surgical way. While I admit his current weight is not ideal for his long-term health, you can't deny he's very strong, he's very motivated, he's very smart, and he's improving. Takakeisho is a pusher thruster, which means he doesn't grab the mawashi, he's going to push. Now, where he pushes is, he pushes in the triangle area. What I mean by triangle is sort of the triangle you get here from the sternum down to below the pecs area. That's the part where if you hit it, you can't really dodge, because you can dodge a shoulder blow, you can dodge something on your side a bit, but if you get the center, just the trunk area, that's going to push the entire body back. So, the way he executes his sumo is he has very, very narrow shoulders. So, he has short arms, but narrow shoulders. So he can get inside the defenses of most other sumo wrestlers, making up for what he lacks in length with directness. And as I said, off the tachi, he gets one good thrust always going upward, as opposed to guys like Kotoshoku who come in very flat with their head down, who are much more prone to henkas. Although that's not to say Takakeisho hasn't been henked in his day. So yes, Takakeisho is always going to be short, he is always going to be spherical, and he's always going to be a pusher thruster. But he has improved. So the center of Takakeisho's technique is what I like to call the danger zone. And that is the distance from his shoulder to his elbow. That is his effective, dangerous range. He's a pusher, so right here, he has this amount of distance from here to there. That is the amount of distance he has to attack, from the tip of his fingers, the attacks, to there. So, if you are an opponent, you either need to stay outside of that danger zone, or you need to get within the danger zone to beat Takakeisho. If you stay in that area, and on me, it's about, say, 8 inches. On Takakeisho, it might be a little bit less, but if you are in that, like, between half a foot and a foot, you are going to get pummeled. Now, the primary way in which Takakeisho likes to pummel, Tachi blog has called wave action sumo, and this is a classic example. It's a lot of very heavy, back and forth, rhythmic thrusts that gets the opponent out of the ring in 3 or 4 heavy thrusts. You hit at the Tachi, stand your opponent up, and then take 2 or 3 more thrusts to get him out of the ring. Now, this is cool and very dominating sumo. But when you have that much space in between your thrusts, sometimes with a wily opponent, you are going to find yourself grasping for air as your opponent pulls an olé! So to help fight against that, Takakeisho developed what I like to call the swipe left. He's starting to develop this left hand as a weapon, where he starts being able to push people to the side. He doesn't necessarily both hands, he can just get the swipe left. Sometimes, the swipe left was enough to get the person onto the ground, because I think we forget, because he's short, he is so strong! So now if we look at clips from the last 2 basho, I think we can see he's starting to develop some new techniques. Number 1, his pull down has gotten a lot better and a lot stronger if we look at this example against Hokuto Fuji. Now, a pull down can help mitigate some of the weirdness around the danger zone. If you come in very, very chest to chest with Takakeisho, you don't need that much room to get the pull down, as opposed to, say, a full push behind it. So, a great defensive maneuver. We also have another one here against Kiribayama, where he uses his left hand as an escape hatch, just pushing him off to the side. A little bit of Shodai-esque cartoon sumo there, but again, the old left hand helping him out. I've also noticed he start working on some more like true Sapari, the alternating of the hands. And he's worked on sort of this sword and shield maneuver, I like to call it, where he grabs you with the left hand and then just hits you with the right a few times until you start going out. He's figured out that if you can alternate hands, or if you can close up the gap of time in between those wave actions, you can create so much more damage and not allow your opponent's defense to sort of circle the wagons against a very predictable style. Okay, yes. Takakeisho's weaknesses are always going to be his weaknesses. If you can manage to meet him roughly eye to eye and then get underneath the sphere of Takakeisho, then yeah, Mitake Yumi has regularly figured out a way to beat him that way. If you can get him on the Mawashi and then pull off sort of a side throw, or if you can just grab the Mawashi and then just lean forward on him as we saw Terunofuji do on day 15, yeah, that's a way to beat him. The other way to beat him is because his balance is so perfectly centered on those two tree trunks of legs he has. It's very easy to get him on the slap down and the pull down himself. So, the question is going to be, what is going to be his ceiling from here on out? Well, I think a lot of it depends on who shows up. He has 2 Yusho, but no Yokozuna were present for them. I think the question is, will there be any Yokozuna coming up before the next person takes the rope? Alright, final question. Do we think he can win this Yusho? Or if he doesn't win this Yusho, get the Yokozuna equivalent? Or if he doesn't get this one, do we ever see Takakeisho getting 13 wins twice in a row? I say we could. I don't think we've seen the best of Takakeisho Sumo. He's very smart. He's still learning how to beat these guys in the top division, and a lot of the people who seem to be able to beat him regularly are aging out of the division. Can he be a Yokozuna without beating other Yokozuna? Well, yes, he's beaten Kakuryu, he's beaten Harumafuji, and Kisano Sato multiple times, and yeah, he beat Hakuho with a swipe left. I think Takakeisho's going to do very well in 2021. Hopefully he's over his injuries, but for now, at least we know he's the one giving the Olans. Thank you so much for dropping by the Dohyo today. We've got another couple great episodes before the next Basho. We have the year in review. We have the Tama no Umi episode coming up. Yes, the Tama no Umi episode is happening, Ryan. And we are going to have our bolder predictions for the next Basho and the entire year of 2021. So be sure to stick around for that. So everyone, stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe, and we will see you next time on the Dohyo.